Hello and welcome. We're going to look at the virtual pig dissection. So on the left-hand side, I've got the worksheet that goes along with what we're doing, and on the right-hand side, I've got the website that we're going to be following along with. So as we go through here, and I'm going to drag it down just a little bit so you can see the link at the top there. So as we go through this, what we're going to do is we're going to go to that website there and label the regions of the caudal pig below. So again, as I mentioned before, we're going to go through and using our information on the right here, we're going to go ahead and click to anatomical references. So in the beginning, we're looking at just kind of these different things that we can deal with, but we're going to start with regions of the pig, and you can see that this image matches that image is there. And so the things that we're looking for are the caudal region, the pectoral region, the pelvic, and the cranial. And you can see them kind of splayed across there. So caudal refers to tail, pelvic is where your pelvis is, pectoral is kind of your shoulder, and then cranial is the head. All right, and then next one, we want to go ahead and label those on there. And then next one we're going to do is add the posterior and anterior. So we'll click over here, anterior and posterior. So you can see that anterior is towards the hand. So there's this three-dimensional plane through the body, the transverse plane, right? And so the anterior is towards the head, and posterior is towards the tail end. All right, and then we're going to go dorsal and ventral. And so dorsal and ventral, you can see if this is, we're looking at this particular plane here called the frontal plane. Right, so that separates the things on the belly from the things that are on the back. So things that are on the back are the dorsal, things that are on the belly are the ventral. Now in humans, because we're built slightly different, so in spinal cord of pigs, their head kind of is in line with that spinal cord, but in humans we're tilted the other way, so our face would be down this direction. So in humans, we kind of posterior, anterior, dorsal, ventral kind of get mixed up a little bit. But for a pig, dorsal is backside, belly is ventral side. All right, next one, use the pictures below for reference to answer the following questions. So medial and lateral. So here were things with relative to the midline of the body. This is called the mid-sagittal cut. Because if we go back here, one more up to here, you can see this sagittal plane that comes across through the middle, right? So now we look at this kind of sagittal plane that comes down here. So medial is relative to that midline. Where is A relative to B? Well, A is closer to that midline, so A is medial. B, relative to that midline, is further away from A, so B is lateral. So you can look at those two on there. And then next one is proximal and distal. So proximal and distal refer to some point of reference, which is usually, pardon me, let's go down here. So proximal and distal. So usually we're talking about points of reference relative to the trunk. So in this case, they've kind of got this yellow dot. So the trunk is kind of the middle part of the body. So X is proximal relative to Y. Y is distal relative to X. Again, kind of comparing that to that point of reference. It's usually the trunk, not necessarily the midline, but usually the trunk there. So if you think like if you're standing still and your arms are hanging down at your side, like if your arms were going down this way, right, both of them would be the same distance from your midline, but your fingers are more distance from your trunk than your elbow would be. All right, moving on. So next we're going to look at male and female pigs. You're going to click over to sex in the pig, and the question says, what anatomical features can lead you to use to distinguish the sex of your pig? Nipples don't work because just like humans, pigs have, both male and female pigs have nipples. So here it says, is it a male? Is it a female? So you're going to go through, you're going to click on those and determine, well, what features are there that help you differentiate between male pigs and female pigs. All right, next one down is digestive system. So if we go to digestive system over here, right? So it says the tongue consists of the sits or papilla. So we want to start with the head here. So and you can see it's the digestive system, the head. So we're going to click on the head, and there it gives us some information about the tongue. So the tongue often protrudes from the anterior opening, right? You can see kind of what's going on here, right? So it gives us some more information. So we'll go to the next one. Inside the oral cavity, right? And here we can kind of see some more information. Let me go back one. Right. So yeah, high manipulative on there. Yeah, so 2 not nairs, right? Allow air into the, yeah, so that kind of matches up with everything that's on there. So, right, and then you can kind of continue on through there. It's got the abdominal cavity down here, so we need to jump down to the abdominal cavity here. And in this case, it says draw the incision lines on the pig. Diagram on the right. So using this diagram here, we want it to match with what incision lines would they make there. So from here, you're going to go through, kind of click through a bunch of these, and then eventually it'll say cutting deeper through the peritoneal membrane. So when we get to here, now we want to sketch in the abdominal cavity. What are the things that we see? Small intestine, large intestine, liver. The stomach's actually kind of tucked up underneath there as well, right? And then we want to list one feature each for the small intestine and large intestine. So we go inside the abdomen, so it gives us information about the small intestine, information about the large intestine, and then we're going to continue on down. You can either click on next and go through until we get to the part that says remove the liver. And what can we observe now that we remove the liver? You should be able to look in there and gives you some information about it. And then continue until we get to mesentery. So here we are, mesentery, and it gives you some questions about the mesentery. All right, and then we'll move on down here to the excretory system, and you can see it gives us some information about excretory excretion is the process of doing what. We'll click through the 4 excretory organs, the ones that they list here. Just really just kind of look at them, get some information. Describe how the kidney filters blood. It talks about some of these other things there that you're going to look through. All right. We're going to go to circulatory system. Circulatory system is responsible, right? So that kind of matches up with there. Gets down to reproductive system, right? So again, we're going to look on both male and females, right? So you're going to go through and figure out what information you're looking for in there. Then we've got respiratory system. So if you're looking at respiratory system, so it gives us some information, right, when we deal with these. Goes through, you'll click on trachea and some of the ones in there. And then finally we'll get to nervous system on the right here. And you can see it's got cranial region, cervical region, and lumbar region. So click on there. One of them will show you a picture of the brain. So this is a picture of the sheep's brain. And you have to, the pig's brain, and identify kind of what the different parts are. And then somewhere it'll ask the question. So go through, answer those questions. I helped you out a little bit when you get it all done. Make sure you get it submitted and turned into me. All right, and that takes care of the virtual pig dissection overview.